So hello everybody, welcome to this Facebook Live where I'm going to explore this topic. Is it post-exertional malaise? Is that the correct explanation when you are experiencing payback? So if you do activity and then experience payback, the assumption is that it's post-exertional malaise. I'll call it PEM for short. Is there anything else going on? There's this assumption that it's caused by the activity. If that is incorrect, then that's really important to clarify. So if you're joining me live, just say hi in the chat. If you're watching the replay, pop #replay. And yeah, just helps me know that the chat is working. So as I say, it's important to get clear on this question because it can inform your approach to recovery and healing if you have conditions like ME, CFS, fibromyalgia, long COVID. So in this session, I'll explore what post-exertional malaise PEM is, why it can last longer than you would like, and how you can shorten it. Other factors that may be contributing towards payback and strategies to reduce payback. So if that sounds good, let me know. So Darren says, I'm live for a little while at least. That's fine. Go when you need to go. Take good care of yourself. Diane says, hi from Ottawa. So nice to have you with me, both of you. So Rivertree, hi, thanks for discussing PEM. You are very welcome. Thanks for joining me. Everybody, appreciate your input. Yeah, do say hi, do ask questions. Let me know your experience of this. Your comments do help other people find the content. Okay, so do hit the subscribe button, hit the notifications button if you're watching on YouTube. Do follow me on Facebook. Natalie says hello, nice to have you with us. So I can see there's quite a few people, so do say hello if you've just joined. So yeah, let me know what triggers payback for you. I'll be very interested as we go along. So as always, what I'm sharing is shared with love. Okay, you have to decide whether what I'm sharing is relevant to you and your situation. So use your judgment. Don't put other people's point of view above your own, especially when you feel, I'm not sure about this, okay? So consider that you might say, oh yeah, that's hit the nail on the head, or I'm not sure, I'll think about it, or no, that just doesn't feel like a fit for me. That includes people giving you feedback. So that's a little tip for you, all right? If you don't know me, my name is Simon Pimenta. I had ME, CFS, fibromyalgia for 8-9 years. At one point, I couldn't walk for 1 minute, and I got back to work, got back to life, going to festivals, having a great life. Got an injury a little while back, slowed me down a bit, but life is still great. So what helped me was mind, body, and practical approaches. It's fascinating to me that people are still kind of refuting the possibility that mind-body approaches might help people. And that's a whole nother topic I won't get into, but it certainly helped me. And I've seen it help lots of other people, all right? And so I create lots of content, lots of free content to help you move towards your goal. So do subscribe to my YouTube channel, as I say. If you want more content, check out the playlists where I've, created lots of videos on topics such as movement, energy, etc. Dealing with anxiety, dealing with setbacks. Okay, so let's get into this topic. So let's start with a definition of post-exertional malaise. So a quick search on Google tells me that post-exertional malaise, or PM, is a symptom of ME, CFS, long COVID, fibromyalgia that involves a worsening of symptoms after physical, mental, or emotional activity. And it can result in a whole range of symptoms: extreme fatigue, flu-like symptoms, cognitive difficulties, difficulty concentrating, focusing, thinking clearly, sleep disturbances, insomnia, nightmares, sleeping too much. Symptoms typically worsen after the event, maybe 12 to 48 hours after the activity, and it can last for days or even weeks. So it said that PEM can be triggered by a broad set of non-strenuous daily activities, so things that healthy people would normally manage. So there is a questionnaire called the DePaul System Questionnaire, which is a tool for assessing PEM in ME/CFS patients. So do check that out. Let me just put that in the chat if you're interested. Okay, so why can it last longer than you would like, and how can you shorten it? Well, in order to understand that, we need to explore the other factors that may contribute to payback. So I invite you to consider that there are other factors to consider. And let me know, you can just put a number if you like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which ones you can relate to, you recognize are relevant to you. So the first thing, number 1, is that we need to consider general stress levels before activity. So I've made a little slide to illustrate this. So, how much stress was going on before you did some activity? This is important. Actually, we'll get into the whys and wherefores in a moment. So that's the first thing. And stress can be acute physical stress, chronic physical stress, acute psychological stress, or chronic psychological stress. So that's the first thing, general stress levels before activity. So consider if someone was experiencing a lot of stress before activity, then that's going to have some impact on their capacity for doing things. So the second thing, and we'll get into these in a little more depth in a moment, the second point is that we've got to consider the stress levels during the activity. We've got to consider the stress from doing the activity. That's number 3, okay? So number 2 was stress before the activity. Number 3, stress from doing the activity. So that's the physical stress. But also the stress whilst doing the activity, the psychological stress. That's number 4, okay? And number 5 is the stress after the activity, okay? So let's just go to that. So consider those 5 things, your general stress levels. If you look at this slide here, that's a whole load of stress. The stress before the activity, general levels of stress before the activity, the specific stress before the activity, worrying that it's going to make you worse, for example. The stress whilst doing the activity, number 3, the stress from doing the activity, that's number 3. Number 4, the stress whilst doing the activity. And number 5, the stress after the activity, worrying that it's going to make you worse. So it's not just doing the activity that is potentially the issue. If that makes sense, pop a yes in the chat. If you just join me, feel free to say hi in the chat. Yeah, thanks for the thumbs up. Even if you give me a thumbs down, it's all good. You don't have to agree with everything I say, okay? And I don't mind if you say to me, that's a load of rubbish. We can discuss it. I'm happy to have an adult discussion. Or maybe it's more constructive to say, I don't agree with that, and here's why, okay? So consider that stress can be conscious and subconscious. So sometimes we might be experiencing stress or generating stress and not being aware of it. Okay, so let's dive into those 5 things in a bit more depth. So seeing a few yeses, thanks for your interaction, always good. So number 1, as I say, general stress levels before the activity. If you've been experiencing a lot of stress, then that affects your body's capacity to produce and store energy. Okay, if we're in a state of emergency, the brain and body thinks there is an emergency, we need to fight or flee, then that switches off the production of energy and the storage of that energy, okay? Therefore, if you do activity in a state of stress, when your energy levels are already compromised, that's going to affect the severity of the payback, okay? Point 2, specific stress before the activity. If you're thinking of doing an activity and consciously and subconsciously fearing that it's going to result in symptoms, then again, that's going to affect your body's capacity to produce and store energy. And you're going to be using up energy, all right? So you may have heard me talking about the energy equation, where we talk about the amount of energy we've got, the amount of energy we use, and on top of the energy we use, we need to consider, are we adding to that usage by generating stress? That is going to affect the amount of energy we've got left over after the activity. Okay, so that makes sense. We've got a certain amount of energy. We use some of that energy doing the activity, but we also use some of that energy because we're generating anxiety and stress. Okay, that's going to affect how much energy we've got left. If we've used up more energy than we've got, that's going to result in what I call an energy overdraft. And when you use up your energy, it takes more resources to create a unit of energy compared to if you still have some energy in the energy bank, okay? Because it takes energy to create energy, all right? So I have created a playlist on energy. So check out, there's a number of videos, 10 videos currently in that playlist. So do check it out if you want to dive more deeply into the topic, okay? Because in some of those videos, I explain in more detail what's happening, why the energy cycle in a normal person, we use energy, then the body replaces that unit of energy. So it just repeats in a very quick cycle. It happens in, milliseconds, but that can get interrupted, and that's why we can run out of energy. Okay, so there's the stress whilst doing the activity. Is this going to make me worse? If we're doing that in the moment. Then there's the stress after the activity. Remember, stress can be conscious or subconscious. And stress, we know from studies that stress slows down recovery. And stress, as I've said, can be psychological. If you're chastising yourself, if you're catastrophizing, painting worst case scenarios, that's putting your body in that stress state. If you're ruminating, oh, why did I overdo it? I'm such an idiot. That's not fair to be saying that to yourself, because we're all doing our best, and it's part of the human experience that we make the same mistakes over and over again. All right, if we're distracting ourselves in unhelpful ways, I'm feeling upset and frustrated, so maybe I'm going to watch a movie and watch it for too long, even when my energy's starting to dip, then all of these things just putting the body in that state of stress that slows down recovery. And I see posts from people who say, oh, I'm kind of overdid it and now I'm lying in bed stressing. And I try as often as I can to respond, say, look, that I understand why you're stressing, but that stressing isn't going to help your body get into the healing state. In the healing state, your body can start doing repair work. It can start producing and storing energy. You can get better quality sleep, which again helps the repair cycle. Okay, so the body can't heal when we're stressed. All right, so learning how to navigate that, and I've made videos talking about that, can help support recovery. Okay, and our expectations can affect our experience. I've made a video on that topic, so do check that out. There's a very interesting book by David Robson called The Expectation Effect, and I summarize that book in this video, so do check it out. I think I've put the link below on YouTube, but I'll check after this video. So check out that video on how to make expectations work for you. So if you assume that it is the activity that's causing the symptoms, then number one, you might be incorrect based on what I've been talking about. Worse still, number two, you might assume that you need to avoid activity. Number three, you might fear doing activity, which means number four, you get stressed when doing the activity. Number 5, that might result in kind of a rigid pacing approach, which can be very fear-based and can put the body in a state of fear. If we're approaching things in a more relaxed way, that is more useful. Okay, so there's an alternative. You might embrace the fact that, oh, actually, maybe my symptoms could be due to a combination of factors. And let me know in the chat, is what I've shared so far, does that kind of give you food for thought? Does that make sense? Just put an F for food for thought if it has. Okay, it's always good to get your feedback. So alternatively, you could do that. You conclude that symptoms are due to a combination of factors, and that it may be useful to change your approach. That's the first thing. Number 2, to address the stresses. And number 3, to embrace strategies to reduce stresses. So that's what I'm going to be talking about now, strategies to reduce payback. So if you've got any questions, any comments from what I've shared so far, just let me know. Thanks, Rivertree, for letting me know that this is kind of making sense. So I want to share 4 strategies. Diane says make sense. Excellent. I want to share 4 strategies to help you reduce payback. Okay. So number 1 is just to bring awareness to the situation. So for example, awareness of your general stress levels before activity. I always find it useful, even now, if I feel like, I'm a little bit under par. Natalie says, F, thank you for letting me know. If I'm a bit under par, I need to just, rather than catastrophize, which was the old pattern when I had ME, just look back. How's the last few days? How's the week been? And I might recognize, maybe I did push myself a little bit too much. Because I've got this little injury, sometimes it does slow me down a bit. So any additional stress kind of has a bit more impact. So if I take that perspective, I step back and just look at things and think, actually, there are reasons why I'm feeling a little bit under the weather, and I can look at some strategies for addressing that. So like last night and the night before, I made sure I was in bed by 9:30, and that was really blissful, actually. It feels very nurturing to get to bed, and I always feel I benefit from it because I wake up early. I wake up 6:30 and I'm ready to go. So here we go. Natalie says, I was hoping you would cover how. Yeah, that's what we're getting into. So first thing, just bring that awareness to your general levels of stress. Okay. Then bring curiosity. Am I getting stressed before doing some activity? Am I getting stressed whilst I'm doing the activity? Just remembering that sometimes it is subconscious. Am I stressing after the activity? Consider what are your personal drivers when you're doing an activity that may result in either, popping you in that state of stress or even pushing yourself too much. It could be, as I say, someone could be generating anxiety around doing the activity. They might be feeling frustrated about their current situation. And so they're kind of doing activity with determination or gritted teeth. Let me know if that's something you've ever done. I certainly have. I get really frustrated with the fact that I wasn't well, and so I can't just go for it. Sometimes it's people are being perfectionists. They're kind of pushing to get the job done because they don't like leaving a job undone. They're kind of displaying overachiever kind of mentality, and so they push through. All right. So there might be other drivers for you. Let me know in the chat. Are there other things going on, do you think? I remember someone saying to me, the voice in my head is saying, don't be lazy. And it's like, you're not being lazy. It's like, you're not being lazy. This is what you're experiencing is real. Diane says, definitely. Okay, thanks for letting me know. Okay, so that's the first thing. We need to just bring awareness. I invite you to consider that I keep talking about this, but I won't stop. There is a part of you that is super wise, and that part of you has shown up many times in your life. I invite you, could do that right now, just for a moment. If it's safe to do so, I invite you to just close your eyes just for a moment. Just take a breath, breathe in through your nose, into your belly, breathe out of your nose, as long as that's comfortable. And I invite you just to allow your out-breath to be a little longer than your in-breath. And as you breathe in and out, just reflect on the fact that there is a part of you that is super wise, that's responded to challenging situations many times in your life in resourceful ways. And you can tap into that wise part of you. But in order to do that, you have to acknowledge that it is part of you. And that wise part of you has the capacity for what I call supervision, the capacity to spot patterns. Okay, so you can just reflect on, what is the pattern here? Is there a pattern that I can recognize when I'm doing an activity that can contribute towards me having payback afterwards? Again, talked about this before, but one of the things I recognise I used to do is I do things in a rush because I thought my energy was going to run out. And that just helped my energy to run out more quickly. Okay, so you can open your eyes now if you like, or you can just keep your eyes closed and just listen. That's up to you. The second thing, so that's the first thing, is just bringing awareness. Second thing is we need to release those emotions. So if we do connect to that wise self, we can make space for that part of us that has those feelings, whether it's anxiety, frustration, perfectionism, overachieving. And we can invite that part of us just to communicate. Oh yeah, I'm feeling frustrated because da, da, da. And we can listen to that part. We can imagine having a conversation with that part, saying, yeah, I get, I understand that you're frustrated. Okay. But would it be useful to explore other ways of approaching this situation? Again, I made another video where I talked about, it's in my Exploring Recovery mini course that's on YouTube. So check out that playlist, Exploring Recovery. I think it's the second video where I talk about an approach that I found super helpful. Okay, so you can dive into this in a bit more detail. And it can help you express and release emotions. If you're feeling anxiety, I always remember an interview that Denzel Washington was doing with a reporter, and the reporter, this young woman in her 20s, was very nervous, and he said, look, let's wind the window down, and I just want you to scream at the top of your voice. They were driving on a busy road, so no one would have heard her, and she did that a couple of times, and she said, I feel more relaxed. Okay, so we can do different things to get that emotion out of our body, whether it's jumping up and down, shaking, or just shouting, or use your judgment, do what feels okay for you in terms of your energy levels. But it's good to release those emotions, express those emotions. Different ways of doing that. Might do journaling, might do art. So find ways of getting those emotions out of your system. Sometimes when my body feels tight, I literally do shake. I shake my body, and helps just release all that kind of tension that gets locked up, that I know is there because at some level I've kind of tensed up. All right, so Natalie says, yes, I do that. Feel like I have to hurry to get things done before my energy runs out. Yeah, and what's really interesting about that, Natalie, is it contributes to our energy running out. So I really invite you to embrace slow. Okay, there's a book, I think, on that topic. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but it's about taking that slow approach. Okay, so that's step 2, release your emotions. Step 3, focus on your WIG, not your MIG. So WIG, wildly important goal. Have you defined your wildly important goal? I have got a little cheat sheet to help you do that. If you would like that, put WIG in the chat, and I'll share that link with that with you. MIG stands for mildly important goal. Okay, so sometimes we get caught up in our mildly important goal. I've got to get this thing done, rather than actually, if my WIG is to get well, then I'm going to do this task with that uppermost in my mind. And Diane says same all the time. Okay, so up until now you've done that, Diane. Invite you, my challenge to you, Natalie, Diane, anyone else who's watching who recognize they get into that rush mode, is to just practice for the next 24 hours doing things in a more slow way. And once you've done it for 24 hours, just do it for the rest of your life. Okay, so a few people saying WIG. Okay, I will post the link to that. I see you're all watching on YouTube, so I'll post that link below the video. If you're watching on Facebook, comment or send me a message and I'll send that to you. Okay, so we need to remind ourselves of our wildly important goal. We need to, before we're doing a task, right, my wildly important goal is to get well, so I'm going to do this task with that in mind. That might mean stopping even before I've finished the job, knowing I can come back to it. Knowing that by pausing when my body's telling me to pause, that's helping me invest in my future. Okay? So that's step 3. Step 4, take a step-by-step approach to activity, especially if you recognize when you think of doing that activity, you kind of get tense. What we want to do is reduce the stress. We want to increase the confidence. We want to increase the sense that we are safe. And I talk about the step-by-step approach in one of the videos in the movement activity playlist. But very simply, let's say, I've mentioned this before, but I'll tell you again. Let's say someone's goal is to meet a friend for a coffee in a cafe. That might be step 5. And some people go straight to step 5, even though they feel like 1 out of 10 confident about doing that. So we want to break it down into small steps. Step 1 might be, I'll just go and sit in the car for a while and then come back to the house. Then I'll drive to the cafe and drive home. Then I'll go into the cafe, get a takeaway, come home. Number 4, I'll go to the cafe, I'll sit in the cafe, have a drink on my own, come home. Step 5 is then meet friend for coffee. And each time we're doing that, we're saying, okay, what's my confidence level? I'm 10 out of 10 confident about sitting in the car. Great, do that for a little while. Then you might say, oh, actually, you know what? I feel 8 out of 10 confident about driving to the cafe and back. Great. You know, if you feel, let's say, 5 out of 10 confident going in the cafe, getting a takeaway, then just drive to the cafe a few times until you build up that confidence. All right. So that's a way of creating that feeling of safety, reducing stress levels. Does that make sense? Let me know. If it does, just pop a yes in the chat. That's the step-by-step approach. Okay. We want to create more safety, more confidence, so that we feel that we can actually build on that. Okay, so I talk more about this, as I say, in movement playlist, so do check that out. I made a video recently about pacing. Is that, a helpful approach? So do check out those resources. So as I say, if you find this video helpful, leave a comment, leave a like, share with others. Let me know what your takeaway is from watching this video. So Rivertree says yes. Thanks for letting me know. Your feedback is always super useful, and it's completely, I'm not fragile. So if someone says, yeah, it wasn't that helpful to me, that's okay. You can tell me what was missing, what you'd like more of, then that's going to help me create better content to help you. And yes, I am a coach. I do charge for certain services, but I want to offer people as much free stuff as I can. And if I'd had all the information that's on my YouTube channel and all the information that's out there, that would have massively helped me make progress without spending any money. All right. So Darren says, yes, sounds a great strategy. Yeah, for me, that was like a game changer, understanding that I could take that step-by-step approach. And I've had people say to me, oh, wow, that's helped me so much. All right. So if you want more help now, then do feel free to join my Facebook group for resilience builders. I share lots of free content. So that's an option. All right. If you'd like to join the twice monthly resilience group coaching, there's no charge for that. You're welcome to make a donation, but there's no charge. If you'd like to join, next session is next week at 4:30 p.m. GMT, so the same time as I was doing this video. River Tree says very helpful. Thank you, Simon. You are welcome. Very welcome. So if you'd like to join the resilience group coaching, comment group below. If you do want more help now and would like to go faster and want to work one-to-one or via my online course, then pop the word chat in the chat box. I do a kind of approach called the MindBody Reconnect, and if you'd like to know more about that, we can have a chat. I can explain more about that. If you'd like the PDF on that, just get in touch or put PDF in the chat. I'll send the link for that. I'm giving myself a lot of work to do. All right. So Diane says group. Okay, I will share the information. What I'll do, Diane, is I'll put sometimes I don't see these comments for some reason. I'll put the link below the video to the resilience group coaching. Okay. So yeah, do subscribe to my YouTube channel if you found this video helpful. Join my Facebook group, link below. Follow me on TikTok or Instagram. If you've got any topics that you'd like me to cover, let me know. If I do feel I've got something useful to say on that topic, I will create some content around it. Okay, so listen, thanks. PDF. Okay, I will post the link as soon as I end this call. All right, so thanks everybody for joining me. Keep up the great work. Dare to dream big dreams. Keep taking steps, no matter how small, they do build up. Natalie says, thank you. I find listening to you very calming. You're welcome. And just so you know, I have created some guided relaxations. If you'd like those, comment guided below. I will add that link as well. Darren says, thanks, Simon. You are very welcome. Thanks, everybody, for joining me. Makes it much more interesting when there's people watching. So keep up the great work. Can you do something about overwhelm? Diane, I think I have actually made a video on overwhelm already. So do check out my YouTube channel. If you can't find anything, let me know. Okay. I'm pretty certain I have done some content on that. Sometimes I forget because I'm kind of doing group trainings, so I kind of can't remember how much content I've put out publicly, how much is within my course, but let me know. All right, so thanks everybody, keep up the great work. Bye for now.